they had planes out flying our projected flight path looking for wreckage or for a downed airplane. But it wasn't until we got in the plane again and we're up in the air and now he's on the radio that he's able to report that we're fine and learns that he's in big trouble.
Mm-hmm.
We learned that his license was suspended for 6 months because of that. But meanwhile, the Peace Corps had been notified that we were lost. They had never told Ardith. They only told her when it was all clear. So I came back to I don't know, how would you describe your feelings at the time?
Yeah, we're going to shift and have you talk now a little bit about this whole thing. We'll pick this up, and we don't want to go quick through it, but we're going to, so I have some Ardith here. I'm going to flip around to you, and go ahead. Just your impressions on this whole thing, including this whole business of...
Well, of course, during this time, because we were new in the country, I was suffering from altitude sickness and not doing very well.
Yeah, that's right, I forgot.
Yeah, I had a headache. I just
nauseated.
felt crummy, but had to take the dog out and feed the dog and so forth. It was okay, but not great. And that passed somewhat by the time this happened. But when I got that call, I was like, what are you talking about? And they explained, and it was shocking and not a very happy scene. But it's just one of those things you have to accept when you're in that situation.
Tell me about the house that you rented and the food, and what was it like to try and just live in that situation?
Well, the owner of the house was still living there when we arrived, and she was okay. The two maids that came with the house, mother and daughter, were there, and of course we got to know them, and they had a little female dachshund, taller than our male dachshund, but nevertheless it was exciting for Otto to come upon this little female dachshund. Marie and Yola, whose were the names, were fine, and I got to know them. Bill got to know them too. However, the owner of the place, unknown to us, had told the maids that they could not feed our dog anything but flour and water. And so we didn't know that, but we learned that because one day there was butter on the dining room table and a dog up on the dining room table trying to eat the butter because he was starving.
We were trying to figure out how he got up there. Must have used one of the chairs, and that's what we learned. She was one of the buena gente, as they call themselves, the Latin people. Bolivia was a minority country.
Yeah.
And what we had was the upper crust, where the descendants of the conquering Spaniards, right? That was the caste system. There was the Caucasian Latins were at the top, government, business, everything else. Next came people of mixed race, and at the bottom, of course, were the Bolivian indigenous people. Several major tribes, but even at that time in Bolivia, there were over 50 languages spoken. Isolated groups in the Amazon jungle. While we were there, there was an article about a group that had just been discovered for the first time, living by themselves off in the Amazon, inside the Bolivian border. This was a very interesting country, to say the least. But this woman was anxious to make as much money as she could, and while we paid a little bit to feed the dog and so on, she was keeping it for herself. That's not something we made a big fuss about, except to make it a lesson for ourselves, because she was about to move out to another place, and this was an interim arrangement. She was living in the house, wanted to rent it, wasn't going to move until it was rented. Once it became rented, then she had to make arrangements to go, and that's the way it went. So we rarely saw her after that, which was fine. And the two maids, this was a 5-room house, 1 story, behind a wall with broken glass cemented along the top, which was classic for homes in La Paz. So it was completely walled in enclosure. It had a gate for a vehicle, so you could drive the vehicle in, and then there was a cobblestone sort of 2-track driveway where you could park. There's a little garden in the back. There was a small adobe house next to the garden, which is where the two maids lived, mother and daughter. It was really an adobe room, is all it was. And then backyard with grass and flowers and a little patio. It was a nice little house.
Let's stop here,
Yeah.
and we'll pick it up